Good morning, and welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. Good morning, Mr. Benny Mathers. How are you this morning?
Hello, and do you smell that? Do you smell
What?
it? Do you smell the possible snow this weekend?
Woo! Aha!
So excited.
I know.
Like,
I got my snow boots out by the front door
aw,
already.
see, you're thinking ahead.
I am. Yeah. So, yep. How
Hey.
much are we supposed to have?
I don't think very much, but it's been a dry January in other forms. I mean, if you're going one way of dry January or the other dry January is the state. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. We're just going to be maybe a flurry. That's not going to be crazy, but we are going to be celebrating my son's 14th birthday with my family this weekend. So for their birthday party, that'd be really cool if we had some snow.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yep.
So the twins
Yes.
are 14.
Yes.
Benny.
I know, right?
Benny.
They're like up to my shoulder now. And I'm 6'1", so I mean they're sprouting a little bit. In fact, one of my sons, Ethan, has always been a little bit shorter than my other son Eli for probably the last like 5-6 years. And then this year he's finally kind of taken over again. They kind of battle as they're doing one of these, going back up, but they're always getting taller. So
Oh, that's exciting. Well, happy birthday to them.
And thank you.
And yeah, we'll put out our good wishes for some snowflakes. And I'm just blown away by that. I knew you before they were here. Anyway,
I know. Oh,
we got to do that. Well,
see, you got it down now.
I've been working on it.
Yeah,
I was trying to
practice makes perfect.
Well, you got to have something going on. Totally. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing good. And hey, we're almost to the end of January, which I posted something the other day that was like, 30 days has September, April, May, June, whatever that is. And then it says, and then there's January. It has 438 days.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Anyway, I am Loretta Brown. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. And the big news of the day is my Egypt trip is on, and I'm taking a group to Egypt September 30 to October 14 with a 5-day extension to Petra, Jordan. If you want to know all about that, send me an email. Send it to where do you send it? ReikiOasis@gmail.com. And you can also go to the scheduler and actually sign up to have a little chat with me about it, or join one of the group Zoom calls for information. You can find out more about that at the ReikiOasis.com. And so where are we at in January? Yesterday, Gunga Fat Choi for all of you people celebrating the Lunar New Year. And boy, oh boy, we are transitioning from the dynamic and bold year of the wood dragon to the year of the wood snake. And under the first new moon, totally. The first new moon of 2025 in Aquarius took place yesterday, January 29th. This marks a major turning point, blending the fiery expansion of the dragon with the introspective wisdom of the snake. Both years share the wood element, symbolizing growth, renewal, and vitality. Wood energy fosters innovation, adaptability, and interconnectedness, qualities essential for navigating the year to come. The snake, revered in Chinese astrology for its deep intellect, the wisdom, right? The wisdom of the serpent, intuition, and mastery of timing, invites us to shed that old skin, get that thing off. It's too tight anyway, right? Right? And step into...
Is that how snakes sound when they're shedding?
Yeah. It's like trying to get that shirt off that's too tight, what I mean? Like, get it off, right? Get rid of that old skin and step into wisdom-born transformation. A lot of people are talking to me about how all of a sudden, and of course, there's a whole lineup of things. We still have the planetary parade going on. We've got Pluto has moved into Aquarius for the next 20 years and blah, blah, and so on and so on. You can go back and catch some of that from my previous shows. But we are absolutely at the time of closing chapter or turning the page on something, especially the last 20 to 30 year cycle, and into a fresh, a brand new cycle. I think I am a person who always holds, the hopes and visions for whatever it is that we're going to move into. And I just remind people that we're probably more powerful than we know that we are. It is a good time to reach out to friends and family, laugh a lot, get yourself kind of back in alignment with whatever's going on. And remember, my mother used to say this to me, tomorrow will be a better day, Loretta. It will be a better day. I think she instilled that in me. Anyway, the new moon in Aquarius is conjunct Pluto and Mercury, amplifying themes of inner transformation, mental clarity, and collective evolution. Pluto, the great alchemist, calls for profound soul truth and rebirth, while Mercury sharpens our awareness and allows us to release mental clutter and focus on higher wisdom. Jupiter in Gemini trines the new moon, harmonizing with the dragon's nodal axis, and a luminous Venus-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. This rare alignment dissolves old limitations, creates space for new visions, creative expansion, and deep soul awakening. So it's really, really clear that the cosmic weather, the cosmic astrology is telling us that what is dissolving is making way for what is born. I think we're all kind of being called to a little bit more. And today, January 30th, Uranus, the planet of change and awakening, finally ends its retrograde journey in Taurus and goes direct. This is one of the last times that Uranus will retrograde in Taurus. So we're getting close to wrapping up a big cycle that's been working with us since 2018. And this has been, Uranus is a planet of sudden, unexpected things. And it's been rocking our foundations, kind of shaking everything up. And I think sometimes we don't feel quite as safe and secure as we could. So interesting times ahead. And having said that, February is right around the corner. I want to bring my guest onto the show. I have a wonderful guest. Ofer Niv is a transformational healer, shamanic energy practitioner who overcame multiple sclerosis through deep inner work, energy healing, and spiritual exploration. He's going to tell us more about that. He has started a practice, Alchemical Flame. And in a time when people are searching for alternative ways to heal both body and mind, Ofer's story and work are especially timely. He offers a fresh perspective on what it truly means to be a well-drawing from Kabbalistic wisdom, shamanic traditions, and energy healing. He also works in the shadow realms, removing dark interferences such as curses and black magic. Welcome to the show, Ofer. I'm looking forward to this.
Hi, Loretta. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. I would like to just begin by, I'm going to ask you kind of an out of the pocket question, and then I want to get into your history and absolutely want to hear everything that you have to tell us. But what are you most excited about right now, moving into 2025?
About the possibilities of growth. And for me, it's spiritual growth. But I feel like this is a year of growth. And also, a lot of what you just said resonates with me. Doing away with the old and bringing in the new and growing the new. So I feel this is a year of growth.
Yeah. So you were diagnosed with MS years ago. Could you please, because I don't know where you want to start with that. I know that you came from a background in corporate America, but jump in there, please, and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. It is related to my background because it was a very stressful kind of life. So I grew up in Israel, and so it's sort of something, by the way, lit up when you talked about trip to Egypt, trip to Petra, all these places that are very magical and around me, and I've been to some. But I grew up in Israel, and moved to the US, I don't know, about 40 years ago, and have been in the corporate arena since then, and have been in technology. Have been a manager for many years, and I found myself at some point in my career really not sleeping much, sleeping maybe 2 hours a night, and this brought upon all sorts of things, including what I think was diagnosed as MS, or multiple sclerosis. It just started one day, starting feeling all sorts of strange feelings in my fingers and in my toes, and it started evolving. And after a series of checks, they said, well, it is diagnosed as multiple sclerosis. It's not going to get better. There are ways to manage it, but it shortens your lifetime, and it's generally getting worse. I don't like to hear these kind of things. It's not my
No.
thing.
No.
And I just said, this cannot be happening. I mean, there was a period when I got really depressed, in fact, and because of that, because I remember, for example, going to Italy on a family trip, and Florence, and just feeling like every place that I see, maybe it's the last time I see it, and I was in a very dark mood, and I knew that something got to change. And so I started to listen to all sorts of wisdom teachers and teachings, and read. And I joined eventually a program that it was 1 year program with, it was called Flight School, and it is not about flying airplanes, but it's learning how to fly your heart, your spirit, and discover more about who you are. And during this program, I really learned that what we see is a very little portion of what is out there, of what reality is. And at the end of this 1 year, it was a great year and great people, and we met in different places in the world and did a lot of self work, and I felt like the symptoms were going away. And at the end of the year, we had a shaman coming to visit, and she just was sitting in the room, and then suddenly she tells me, I see something in front of you. It's like a part of you is in front of you. It's not quite in your body. Would you like me to help you receive it back into your body? And I said, sure. So I was on a table, and there were like 15 people working on me, and she's guiding the work. And after that, for maybe four weeks, I just felt tingling up and down my spine, like there was some excitement that could not be even contained. And I said, I got to learn it. I got to know what just happened. And also, maybe it's enough about me, and maybe I can start helping others too. So to cut to today, after so that happened, that started in 2011. And then in 2020, I was no longer on medication. In this year, no, actually last year, my doctor said no more MRIs, because there are these annual MRIs to make sure that nothing is coming back, and say, that's it, we're done. And so I'm considering myself complete with MS, and very happy about it. And I just know that this is not just about me. This is not just me. It's just a matter of seeing things in a very different way can really change your body, can change your health, can bring you into balance, because all it was is a situation of being seriously out of balance and allowing the body to follow along and start to deterioration. I had to stop it on many levels.
Wow, you said so much there. Loretta's curious mind is like, what? So I just want to feed this back a little bit. You were in the corporate world, and if I heard you, and we might go back and pick up some of these pieces, or move forward. We'll see how this flows. You were stressed out. You were having all these things happen, at this point where the shaman came in, because you were diagnosed with MS, you had it, and you were doing flight school. I love the name of that. And I'm very, very curious. When you were on that table and there were these people working on you and the shaman was directing, were you feeling anything in particular? You said that you had energy going up and down your spine after that.
So there were multiple people working on me. Some I
Right.
remember, some I don't. But for example, I remember somebody guiding me through meeting with beings from another planet that were coming to help with the healing. And I think there were the Hathors. And I remember how I had to meet them. There were like signs of how to go left, go right, meet in a meeting place, and it was really interesting. There was also a matter of soul release and soul retrieval. So it turned out that all of us in different live different personalities, gain different experiences, and so in some past lives of mine that were more on the darker side, apparently I accumulated some soul fragments of others inside of me that I had to let go. And I just remember that as a very long corridor that where I just said yes to releasing everything that was not mine from my body, and everything was floating down this corridor and going where it needed to go. And then I got to get some of my lost soul fragments back.
Oh, where'd you leave them?
It's actually an interesting question because some of them, sometimes soul fragments are being taken away from us.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't feel safe and we
Yeah.
hide parts of us somewhere. And sometimes we just care so much about someone that we literally give them a part of myself, of ourselves, and that is usually it's altruistic, but it's not very helpful in the long run.
When you're saying that, I'm thinking about how people say things like, I'll give you my heart,
Yeah,
right? Or,
exactly.
yeah, wow. I want you to speak more about this. I think it's very, very important. And
I mean, I can give you a
yeah,
scenario.
yes,
You
that'd be
you
great.
you have let's say that you're sitting in a room and somebody comes into the room, and maybe they're very angry or maybe they're very anxious and they really need something from you. And I mean, you have this gut feeling that you kind of want to move backwards because they're in your
Yeah.
face. And it's not just about feelings. In fact, what they're doing is they're pushing parts of them, and you can call them energetic parts of them. But they literally sometimes will try to push parts of them into you. And so what you feel is very real, and people don't know that they're doing it. But as you say, we're saying words, maybe we don't understand what the words mean, but what the words mean is literally we give parts of ourselves, somebody takes a part of us, and all this game that is being played we don't pay attention to. And it is actually nice every now and then to pay attention to this and to bring into ourselves what ours, because we are so much more grounded and collected and able to function in the world, and in all the worlds, in the spiritual world, in the emotional world, in the physical world, when we are fully in our body.
So, and please, adjust this accordingly. But what I'm visualizing, what I'm imagining is, um, let's say that, yes, let's say that, you know, I gave someone my heart or whatever. Does that leave a space in me for something to come in, or are we doing an exchange, or could it be, even among strangers, like if you go through the grocery store or something like that?
Yeah, it does happen anywhere and everywhere if we don't pay attention. I mean, I like to before I go into a busy place, like before I go into a Costco or into a busy supermarket, I'll just collect myself, and I'll literally bring my awareness into my physical heart, into my heart, and let it be there. Because when we're just in our heads and everything is combobulated and confusing, uh, parts of us are, I mean, it's what we radiate. It's we
Yeah.
radiate
Yeah.
we radiate chaotic energy around us, and people respond to whatever we radiate. And
Yeah.
so when you say, I give somebody my heart, it's quite possible that because that person was in the receivership, they took something and they reciprocated, but you don't know exactly how. You don't know
Right.
exactly how. So
Right.
that's one scenario, that part of
Mhm.
them
Yeah.
coming to you, but it might, for example, be a judgmental part. It might
Right.
be a criticizing part. It's not necessarily an equal
Right.
exchange. And then the other thing is, when we're not inside of our body, as you say, there is an opening. There is an opening when we radiate something like, I'm broken, I can do it, I need help. Well, help might be coming, but it might not be what we're thinking. So it's especially people under the influence of something. It's like opening yourself up to something that will sort of be attracted, magnetized to the same frequency that you are radiating out. So if you are in an emotion of fear, you might be attracting a being that it could be a fragment of another person. It could be what we call an entity, somebody that passed away but did not really move on. And so all these things, they're out there, and it doesn't have to be scary, in the sense that it's not like it sometimes happens. It happens all the time. You can think about it like viruses and bacteria. It's not that different. It's just
Yeah.
energetic.
Yeah.
And just as we take care of our body in that sense, we also want to take care of our emotional and spiritual states, energetic states.
Yeah. Uh I am thinking, when you're talking, that how this plays into things like compulsions or diseases or addictions, or a lot of people will say to me, like, Loretta, I really want to do this thing, and then I don't do it, or I'm doing this other thing, and I almost feel like I'm watching myself do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I know what you're saying, but
Yes.
I think the bottom line is, we're always in a state of one energy, another. I mean, you can think about it, emotional state. We're always in a state of of a fear or a joy or anger or something like that, emotional, and that's what we radiate out. And what we radiate is what people get, receive,
Yeah.
and respond to. And so all this trigger and response plays so much in our life that it's kind of amazing. For example, a lot of time we're like, I'm angry, she made me angry, she made me angry, like,
Right.
you made
Yeah.
me angry because you did something, or you said something, or you thought something. And if you just go in and you just see what's going on is, you were in an energetic state. This other person was in an energetic state, and now we're getting these two somehow meshed together. So what came to you, you can say, was a trigger, but what's happening to you now, why you're angry, is already in you. It's not something that came into you and was never there before, but it's something that triggered something that is already in you. And so maybe you can pay attention this way. If a scenario caused you to feel emotional way more than it should be. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why do I feel so emotional about it? It's probably because it's not just it's not just something that just happened to you and came to you from the outside, but it's something that you already had, and maybe it got triggered. Maybe it's an old trauma. Maybe it's a past life trauma. Maybe it's an ancestral stuff that is responding to what's happening. So all these are just opportunities to sort of. I know that I'm moving all over the place.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good.
But but that's just flowering up inside of us, whatever needs to be processed in a moment.
Yeah, I have a million light bulbs lighting up while you're talking, and I love this conversation. We're actually going to take a little station break, but I think I'll wait until we come back for this question, because I want you to talk a little bit about how all of this affects us, and even black magic curses, or really the question, and we'll answer this when we come back, is, does this follow us through lifetimes, and how does that happen? And more along that lines. Anyway, this is Loretta Brown with Ofer Niv, and I'm sorry, I love this conversation so much. I hope you're enjoying it, and Ofer, you are just the real thing. So we're going to take a little station break. Don't go away. We're going to come back and talk about more fascinating things.
Okay, I'll clear you too. Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
How's business?
Good. Are you up to speed with the new beneficial ownership reporting requirements?
Sort of. What's it about?
It's a new initiative to help fight crimes like money laundering, fraud, and drug trafficking. A lot of small businesses like ours just have to report some basic info to the federal government about the real people behind them.
Reporting your company's beneficial ownership information is quick, secure, and free, and it helps protect U.S. national security. Learn more at fincen.gov/BOI.
Do you make a positive difference in the world? Do you have a talent, philosophy, base of knowledge, product, or service that you know could help a lot of people if only you could reach them? Join Alternative Talk 1150's family of broadcasters and start walking down a fruitful path. As host of your very own program, dial 425-653-1150 and find out just how affordable it can be to have a show on 1150 AM. That's 425-653-1150. Alternative Talk. We have an opportunity waiting just for you.
Make us part of your daily routine. Alternative Talk 1150.
About finding again yourself.
Y'all ready to come back into
the heart?
Yeah,
Right.
we're ready.
Stand by. You're live.
Oh, I didn't hear any music.
Sorry,
Welcome
Loretta.
back.
Sometimes there's just accidents that happen.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I just thank you for cueing me back
Sure.
in. Thanks for patience to the listeners, and welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my amazing guest Ofer Niv. And just a reminder, these shows are archived and downloaded for free at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. And we're also on all kinds of places: iTunes, Podcast One, Spotify, X, Megaphone. You get the idea. Anyway, we are having a fascinating discussion with Ofer. And before the break, he was talking about pieces that get in us and other influences, shall I say, even ancestral influences or past life influences. And I want to ask, can you talk a little bit about curses, black magic, or these energies, how they affect us, and how do they cross from lifetimes? How does that happen?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. And as far as lifetimes go, pretty much everything that is unfinished crosses, because the soul is eternal, and the soul is passing things, energetic patterns and energetic influences from energetic constructs. You can call curse some sort of an energetic construct from lifetime to lifetime until it's resolved. So there are things that just because you died doesn't mean they go away. Just because you died, it's like you say, just because we died, we didn't get smarter. Well, just because we died, we didn't get cleaner either. And what happens with curses is a lot of it is self-inflicted. You mentioned, for example, we say, "You broke my heart." I mean, you can call this some sort of a spell that you put on yourself when you use these kind of words, because energetically you are taking your energetic heart structure and maybe you created a crack in it. Maybe you introduced something that was not there before, but that is now creating a lack. Where before there was wholeness, now you introduced a lack. And so a lot of that we're doing to ourselves with limiting beliefs and with negative thinking, and with just not believing enough in ourselves, or not feeling connected enough. There are these sets of limiting beliefs that everybody carries at some point or another, a version of them, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. I mean, there is this one, I'm disconnected. I'm disconnected from the divine. I'm forsaken. I feel abandoned. I can't. I'm not I don't. I'm powerless. And when, for example, we say, "I'm powerless," what we're doing is we're giving our power away. And so all these are self-fulfilling kind of statements or sayings that we're saying, that we're bringing it about. There are these thoughts, random thoughts that are happening in our head. When we repeat them enough, they create what's called thought forms, and these thought forms become truly energetic structures in the body that then can persist from one lifetime to the next. Then there are people that just don't like us. People don't like us, and they might put a spell on us, or they might curse us. There is all this voodoo stuff, and I do see sometimes clients that feel like somebody cursed me, somebody put a spell on me, and can you undo? So all these things, sometimes we don't know where they're coming from. Most of the time, I think there is a reason. Things don't just happen. There is a reason. And when I say there is a reason, you can think of a curse as some kind of a contract. And so it's not just as something. I almost never see anything that happens to us as just something that happened to us, but as something that happened with our permission, is something that is also, once it happened, maybe it's happened to us, and maybe you can say happened for us, because in the end it moves us forward. But it is always an opportunity to do some soul work, or to do some repair work, so to do some healing, anything that happens to us. So there is this soul dance that is going on, and most of the time when we get cursed, it's by somebody that is already knowing us, and most likely not just from this lifetime. And so souls move from one life to the next, but not only by themselves. Sometimes there are all these relationships that are going on. So maybe you know somebody in a lifetime as a lover. Maybe the next life, they'll be your mother or your sister or your dog, and all these relationships, they will last as long as these souls have soul agreements to keep on learning and teaching one another, each other. And so that's what I call the soul dance. And a lot of this in my work with clients come into the form of working of relationship with siblings and relationships with parents. And there is, we're talking about curses. So I don't believe that most parents curse their kids, for sure, not on purpose, but it happens. It happens, and energetically, a lot of what happens in families has similarity because it's all energetic contracts, is what it is between two souls. And you can call it a curse, you can call it a spell, or you can call it an agreement to be judged all your life, or an agreement to give your power away to somebody because just because maybe you wanted to be loved, maybe because you wanted approval. All these contracts are persisting, and they're not going away until we recognize them and we do something about them. And it doesn't mean that it always has to be just shamanic work. I mean, sometimes working with a therapist is good enough. You're working these relationships, you see maybe the codependence, and you work it out, and it's all good. Sometimes the traumas persist through generations in the family. So you can talk lineages that go, the soul lineages of your past lives, but you can also talk family lineages, which is past generations, and how that affects from one generation to the next, because that also happens. And it doesn't necessarily happens only through the genes, but there is this thing called epigenetics, where there is all this gene soup that moves with the physical genes. We don't know, maybe we don't know enough about how it works, but all sorts of beliefs even move through family systems, through generations. And so all this is some form of agreements, which I like to call contracts, because it's easy to see a contract as a construct. When I work with somebody, I sort of tune into, I might tune initially into how they feel, but that's like a doorway. And then it moves into what's actually going on energetically in their body. And sometimes you do see these energy constructs and agreement to believe something, or to be in a state of mind or an emotional state that is so persistent that it becomes like a wall, or it becomes like a structure, like a house, like something that is so solid that you need to rattle it, you need to shake it, you need to dissolve it in some way, because it's hardened. It's so hardened that it has been there so long that it's like anchored into the body. It's rooted into the body, and that's part of the work, is to make sure that all this can be released, can be disentangled from the body.
Wow. I am very visual, right? So I get these images of I'm boxed in, right? I'm blocked. I can't move forward. And then when you said that last thing where it really gets anchored into our body, I got to be honest, sometimes when I'm working on people, I feel like I'm pulling like a bumper of a car out of their body or something, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so they're attached somehow to this thing, this aspect. I want to ask you, you have the Alchemical Flame process. Your website is got that in it.
Yes.
Alchemicalflame.com. What is this process?
So I call the way that I work, I named it the Alchemical Flame. That's the name of the system. And it really encapsulate the work that I do when I'm working with somebody, and it has 5 realms, what I call 5 realms. I don't always work in all 5, but sometimes I will. It really depends on what's going on. And the first realm that I can talk about is the heart realm. The heart realm is where we hold relationship, but we also hold negative beliefs about ourselves. We hold limiting beliefs. We have soul wounds. I like to use the word realms because the way I see it is with our imagination, we move from this realm that we're here into whatever realm the work needs to be done. The imagination is not just a phantom thing. It is, you can think of it like an interface between different realities. I mean, the scientists have been talking for decades about parallel realities, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about other realms. So what happens in one realm will affect us in the physical realm, will affect our emotions, will affect what happens in our life. And so it's like you open a little window or a little doorway and you go visit that realm. And the way I like to start is everybody has in us, it's our essence, what I call the alchemical flame. It's an inner flame. I mean, if you can imagine inside of your chest, just even a spark, and you start to focus your imagination or your mind on it, it will grow, and it will grow into a flame. And it will, if you focus on this flame, it'll continue to grow, and eventually it will contain your entire body. This flame connects us to the divine or to the universe or whatever you want to believe that is beyond us. And it also connects us to the earth. So it's you can think of it as bringing in what we need, releasing what we don't need, and always connected, always connected. And so through that flame, when you imagine that flame, through that flame, you can literally step in and through into other realms. And so in the realm of the heart, we'll release limiting beliefs. In the shadow realm, there are all these traumas and contracts and dark interferences that could be like curses that we talked about, or spells. There are all sorts of things that could be in the dark realm, in the shadow realm. When we go in the shadow realm, we usually work with guides, but everywhere I go, we carry our alchemical flame with us because that's key for so much that can change. So, for example, trauma. You can imagine trauma like a bullet that goes in the body and it has an entry point. It might have an exit point, but it might also be lodged in the body. It then being wrapped like a bubble, and it's frozen in the body, and it's not wrapped and isolated good enough. So every time something happens, it gets triggered. It's not like it doesn't know what's going on. So it gets triggered a lot. And when it gets triggered, old trauma, old memories, everything comes up again. So in that realm, we're actually looking for these trauma bubbles in the body and releasing the trauma. And the way to release it has a lot to do with this flame, because this flame, I mean, I want to make sure that we understand everybody has the flame, but this flame is connected to the divine. And so what we're working with is universal energy, is sort of a universal flame that we're bringing, that is heart-based, and it can dissolve stuff. It can dissolve contracts. It can dissolve curses. It can dissolve trauma. There is another realm that is called the magical realm, and here we are sort of peeping into other dimensions. And for example, there is the astral body that we can go and examine. There is the astral plane. There is what I call the inner landscape. The inner landscape is when you go, it looks like nature, but it's actually some kind of visual representation of your body, of your health situation, of your emotions, of your entire physical makeup in this world. But it looks like maybe like a desert if something is really not growing that needs to grow. If there's not enough water, maybe if there's not enough water in the body, maybe it will look like a river that stopped running. And so when we go into the inner landscape, we can start looking at that, seeing what happens, and then adjusting what needs, and it will actually affect the physical body and the emotions, etc. And then there is what I call the bridge. I call it dot. Dot is a word in Hebrew that means knowledge, and it bridges the realms that I talked about to what I call the divine realm. The divine realm is a beautiful way to look at everything, because what you don't have to have there is the polarity. What you don't have to have is all the duality that we experience here. And so it's not that good and bad don't exist. It's just that they don't matter as that they matter here, because they're just two sides of the same coin. So everything is sort of a matter of a range, maybe of sort of a scale that has, maybe on one side good and on one side bad, or on one side healthy and on one side sick, but it's all contained there. And when you lose the need to give definitions and to create separation between different aspects of you, everything starts to come together in a different way, in a beautiful way. And all you have to do to play in that realm is to give up your own solution, because we all have these, I really only want this, and I'm not going to be happy until I have that in this way exactly. And when we give up the need to have our own solution, and we just learn to accept the divine love, then everything can be transmuted.
Wow. So you do, just letting the listening audience know that they can access you. You do sessions with people, you do appointments. Yes.
I do have individual sessions that are on my website on www.alchemicalflame.com. And I also offer group. This is free. I offer every other week a free, what I call, journey. And the journeys are actually journeys to these realms that I just described. Every time it's a different aspect. For example, the last time we went into what's called the library. And so you visit the library and you that was earlier in January, and the occasion was, let's just ask for what we need for 2025. So you have the librarian that finds the book that you need, that finds the information, and in fact sort of puts together a book that is just for you.
I love the library. Can we go there right now?
Sure, we can.
So, are these sessions recorded? These journeys?
These journeys are not recorded. You
Okay.
have to be there in person.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe someday I'll make them available, but in the moment, they're not being made available by recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want you there live. I want you to experience it, and it's I know that not everybody can make the days and the times, but it's on every other Wednesday at I think 11 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's good for people to be there in person. I'm giggling because I'm like, if anybody can see into my energy field, it's just a big library. Books. Could we have more books? Books are all over the
Exactly.
place, right?
And there is one more way that I offer what I know, and that is I'm giving a class, and the class actually starts February 17th, and it is called Awakening, the Alchemical Flame. And we go through these 5 realms, and the emphasis is not on I'm healing you, but I'm showing you how you can help yourself by doing what I learned and by moving through these realms and helping yourself getting rid of old beliefs, old negative emotions, traumas, etc.,
Are you
etc.
talking about the old snake skin? Is that what you're saying?
Very relevant to what you said. Yes.
Get rid of that old
Exactly.
thing. It's too tight, right? And thank you for that, because I was actually going to ask, like, for anybody listening, like, what, if they're just listening and they're just coming in from, like they're got to go to their job, they're on their way to their job. What is some advice you can give them? Where can they start with bringing in some practices that might help them?
I mean, the first thing that I want to say is have some compassion to yourself,
Yeah.
for yourself, because you have tried so hard in so many ways, and what is waiting for you is actually all around you. You're just maybe not tapping into it yet, you're not seeing it yet, but you're so close. And sometimes when you just stop the chasing and have compassion for yourself, you can leap into it rather than being dragged into it. So this is my biggest advice. We're too stressed out. We are too, I got to, I need to, I should. And if we could just look at these words and soften them and remember that we have choice. We always have choice. And one of the best choices is to be self-forgiving, compassionate with ourselves. So much will line up and align just by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look out across the world right now and everything that people are dealing with, are there any sort of, I don't know how to ask this question, is there like a common energetic pattern or distortion that you're coming across?
Uh, the the feeling that I'm getting from everything that is happening is a lot of polarity, a lot of polarity. And to me, it means that something new is coming, because the way I
Right.
think about it, for creation to happen, something needs to come in, and the way it comes in is through the polarity. The polarity is what moves things around, and so it's bringing in the change. Everybody is kind of kicking and screaming in this change, but I feel like we're moving into somewhere that is significant, that is important to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Um, when people are, on these journeys that you're taking people on, right? The
Yeah,
journeying that people do.
yeah.
Um, I think it might be obvious, but how does this really help people?
It helps you because um, we're literally going into specific problems. Like with the library, it was like trying to get clarity on what it is that you need and and focus on for this year. When we worked on just being in the heart, it's I'm showing you how to use your flame. So first I teach you how to recognize this flame, how to experience this flame, how to step through this flame and through also other spaces, but how to help eliminate limiting beliefs. For example, you'll look in a mirror, you'll see the limiting beliefs reflected to you, and you'll start seeing things that are starting to cover the limiting beliefs. You'll see how the alchemical flame is healing whatever needs to be healed so that it can be dissolved. And so these are very real. People, when we're done with the journeys, people say, "Thank you. This was magnificent. I feel so much better. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we're working on real problem, not just something up there in the stratosphere.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. I want to thank you for being on the show today. It was absolutely fascinating and very informative. And where do people find you? And one last word. 5 seconds.
www.alchemicalflame.com. And my last words to everybody is just embrace where you are, because you're moving forward. If you think you're stuck, you're not.